Hi, this is János. We are here today with Machiko up there, and we'll be answering a question. And this question is about the Dynaco Mark III monoblocks. So Antonio was asking about, he wrote, Dear János, you've talked a lot about the Dynaco Stereo 70 amplifier, and after hearing your opinion about it, I have a question for you. If it will deserve your attention. Yes, it deserves my attention. How about the Dynaco Mark III? Are you so kind to let us know your thoughts about these Dynaco monoblocks? Many thanks in advance and the best for you. Thank you, Antonio. My thoughts about it is that, first of all, before I say anything else, several of you will ask, János, have you heard the Dynaco Mark III? And actually, personally, I have not heard the Dynaco Mark III. However, when you look at the schematics, it is virtually almost the same as the Stereo 70 in a monoblock version and using KT88 instead of the EL34 as output tubes. And basically that's the most important difference between the Stereo 70 and the Mark III is that from my standpoint the difference is the sonic signature. So for the Stereo 70 you are going to have an EL34 sound, and the Mark III you are going to have a 6550/KT88 sound. And now which one you would prefer based on their tone and how they sound depends on which tube type is your favorite. And by my experience with generic loudspeakers that you get with commercial loudspeakers, most people by far prefer the KT88 sound versus the EL34 sound for the sheer simplicity that KT88 has a lot more output power than EL34. And that's and also it has like a lower plate resistance, lower output impedance, and these two factors make the KT88 a lot more suitable to drive difficult to drive speakers. However, in my opinion, if you have loudspeakers that do not require very elaborate amplifier to drive them, and under very elaborate I mean an amplifier that manhandles the loudspeakers. Under that I mean it has like a very serious damping factor, high current output capacity, high power output. If the speakers don't require that, then I would say that in that case the EL34 sound, how to say that? It will bring you closer to music, and the KT88 will bring you closer to audiophilia. However, by and large, most audiophiles in the world have loudspeakers that will be happier with KT88. However, if you have void pipes, like my void pipes here, or you have very efficient outspeakers, other kinds, then you will notice that you do not need the muscle of the KT88 anymore. Even the 35 watts of the Stereo 70 will be more than enough for you. You will find, even if you modify the Stereo 70 to work in triode mode, which drops it to a Stereo 17 basically, or I would say stereo 35, because like both channels, so instead of 70 watts total, it would be like 35 watts total, which is like 17 watts per channel. Even that is plenty. Like with these void pipes, it's like 17 watts is all you ever need, basically. You don't need any more. And then when you have a KT88, the difference will come up that the KT88 will get you a more emphasized bass response and tighter bass, and more prominent mid bass, probably a lot more mid bass energy. And it depends on you. What is it that you want? If you want an overemphasized mid bass energy, then absolutely KT88 is for you. If you cannot stand overemphasized mid bass energy, then stay away from KT88. And as you see now, this I have kind of like enlarged the answering the question to not just comparison of two amplifiers, the Mark III versus the Stereo 70, but ER34 versus KT88. And why I'm saying that is that every amplifier that uses a certain tube type carries to some degree that DNA from the tube. And if you change the tube, you completely change the amplifier's DNA. And of course, the other half of the amplifier's DNA comes from the schematics. And in this case, the Mark III and the Stereo 70 have virtually identical schematics. I do not have them right now, but when you look it up, it's the exact same schema. The Mark III has a different driver tube than the Stereo 70, but it's also a pentode triode combo, which is a little bit more optimized for driving the harder to drive KT88. So they use the driver tube that can drive, that has more driving power in its triode section. But otherwise, exact same idea, exact same topology, and the whole, these two changes, the driver tube change plus the power tube change, and also the fact that it's a monoblock, it will allow you to drive difficult to drive speakers a lot better. It will be like, as they say nowadays, a total game changer. If you have the vast majority of commercial speakers, but if you have void pipes, then for a void pipes, even a Stereo 70 has plenty of power. And if you change it to the Mark III, then you might find that it's the benefit from the increased power won't matter as much as losing mid-range, because the KT88 is not just like simply a better tube than the ER34. It's better in a way that if you have difficult to drive speakers, it will be better. And also if you want more mid-bass, it will be also better for you. However, the quality of the mid-range, I think, for ER34, if the implementations are similar, like in this case, is better for ER34 than KT88. And however, this is just my opinion. You also have to listen. Your listening preferences might be different, and you will find maybe even the mid-range of the KT88 is more preferable to you than the mid-range of the ER34. However, this will also depend a lot on the loudspeaker combination and also on the source section. What are the colorations of those? What do they bring to the game? And for example, if you have colored sources, then it might warm up the mid-range of to such a degree that you will have it like more fleshed out with the KT88, and then with the ER34 it will be unbearable because it will be overcolored. In that case, it's the Mark III will be the better for you. So I think there's no such simple thing as which one is better. It just totally depends on the application, how you want to use it, what you want to use it for. However, the original question was, what does the Dynamark 3 worth the attention? And definitively, absolutely. If you can get it, get it. And even if you don't like the KT88 tubes, like it's not my cup of tea, but you can change it. You can change it for an ER34 or different tubes, and then the transformer will be a little bit mismatched for an ER34, but what you can do is just change the taps. So like a KT88, it's like, I'm not sure, it's about like 3K, 3.5K primary, and for the ER34 it's like a 7K primary. That's perfect. So basically just have like you move your taps one lower, and then you can use that tube in the Mark III as well. And if you happen to do that, then you will have the added benefit that you have a lot more power resource for your tubes, but you also have to watch out that you are running them at a lot higher plate voltage, and maybe you can do something to drop the voltage. For example, you can either one thing, either you run it at a little bit higher voltage and then you drop the current, so you need to optimize the operation of the output tube for that. Or what you could do is that you have like a tuned capacitor choke input, and then you just drop the voltage, input voltage a little bit. But I would say just give it a go and run it at the plate voltage of the Dyna 3. It will be a nice experience. Anyway, that deserves a whole different video. If you want to mod a Dyna 3 for ER34, I would say don't even start with that. In the beginning, just try it with KT88, and if you don't like the mid-range so much, first, before you try anything drastic, try using it in triode mode, and that will change the character a lot. I have not heard KT88 in triode mode yet, so I don't know how it will be, but I know that running it in triode mode would bring it character a lot closer to the ER34. And if you find the mid-range lacking, then the mid-range will come around with the triode mode operation. Plus, also you will have the added benefit that the bass will be even more powerful than in ultralinear or pentode mode. And in the powerful, I mean a lot more fleshed out, a lot more body to it. And it won't be like you won't feel it like it has like that that much slam. If your speakers are difficult loads, then in triode mode it will have less total energy for the bass if you want to push it to the limit, if you want to push it to volume 11. But if not, if you are not pushing it to the max and you have speakers that don't need much power to drive, in that case the triode mode will have a lot better bass quality than the pentode or ultralinear mode. So I think that's my recommendation about the Dynaco Mark III. By the way, a very good friend of mine used to have the Mark IIIs, and he said that they were one of his favorite amplifiers. So and his opinion counts a lot to me. So I can also recommend them very, very highly. And my mentor's two's favorite tubes, one of his favorite tube was not the KT88 but the 6550 version, the Tungsol 6550. Now you cannot get that anymore, it's gone. There's like other versions of the 6550, even those are really expensive. So I think now the choice is just the KT88. And there are modern production KT88s, which are what people are using nowadays. They have a lot poorer mid-range than the Tungsol 6550s had, and so don't expect that much from them as you would for those, and don't expect that longevity either. But try it out, and if you like it, then you can get better KT88s for it. And probably the question would be, oh, can I change them to KT120? And my answer is yes, you can, but you should not. Because if you go like for the bigger KTs, they just require more current, and then you would actually need to change the power transformer of the tube. You would need to change the output transformer of the tube to have real benefit. Other than that, you would be just kind of like, I don't know, semi-crippling it. But it depends on you. What kind of speakers do you have? But usually that is the upgrade path for like the Dynacos, that people start putting in bigger power tubes, and then they, oh, you have a taste how it would feel to have like that higher power reserves. But because you have not upped the power supply with that change, and you have not upped the output transformer either, that's why you are going to get kind of like a crippled upgrade. It's kind of like upgrading your regular jogging skills to a runner who is like a marathon runner, but in a cast. And then to lose the cast, you need to get like a bigger output transformer and a better power supply, which means a totally new amplifier. So that's my long and short story for the day. Thank you for being here. Bye bye.